Hey everyone, we're going to be doing a session about Mastery Connect at the Ed Camp coming up soon, but many of you will be looking at your Q2 Common Assessment data before then. And I wanted to give you an option of having kind of a start to finish Mastery Connect tutorial because the new TIPS protocol that we looked at the last early release day definitely requires that you have some more in-depth data. And some of you are already getting that from different online sources like ZipGrade or GoFormative, and some of you are already using Mastery Connect. But for those of you who aren't, I definitely want to highlight that because it's a free service that Wake County pays for. And the data sources that you can get from it are quite valuable because it does item analysis for you, and it also aligns all your assessments directly to the standards. You can see kind of the information here is what is particularly valuable, and I'm going to show you how to set that up, how to attach an assessment to your different classes, how to print out bubble sheets, and then how to get the different reports. So the first thing you're going to do is come to masteryconnect.com, and you're going to click Login. You're going to log in here using your Wake Google identification. Once you do that the first time, it's going to ask you to verify that you're a Wake County employee. It's going to send you to that Wake County Google login screen, and then it'll ask you a few questions like what subjects do you teach, how long you've been teaching, what grade levels do you teach, do you want to invite anyone else to use Mastery Connect. But once you've created your initial profile, I typically get taken to a screen like this. Where it just asks me to pick which Google profile I want to sign in with. And then I get taken to my homepage. It looks a little bit like Facebook. My newsfeed shows the activity of everyone that I've followed. And then these are the 4 things that we use primarily in Mastery Connect. Trackers is all about your classes. Assessments is where you go to find tests, quizzes, and other assessments that you want to use. Pins is kind of like Pinterest, and community is where you can find other teachers to follow. So we're going to start with trackers. This is your basic tracker screen. Trackers is just how you are tracking the mastery of your students. So I've already created a tracker for my first period. I have 1 student in my first period right now. You've probably seen him running around the school delivering things for Calabrese. His name's Jose. But the way you create a tracker is just right here. You add tracker, and you pick a subject. They have the 4 cores, but if you click on other subjects and scroll down to North Carolina, you'll also see standards for CTE, dance, visual performing arts, so you can pick quite a different variety. I'm going to pick 6th grade because that's the grade he's in. Name the period. I would pick binder colors since most of you have more than 1 class. You're going to want to import your students from SIS. That's just importing students from PowerSchool. Mastery Connect pulls information in from PowerSchool, but it doesn't yet push information back to. So the grades won't go back out to PowerSchool, but it is nice that it will pull student rosters in. So you can see from this drop-down menu that it obviously is pulling in from PowerSchool. The number that you're going to want to look for is this one right here. 1A means first period. So create tracker. And there he is. Obviously you guys will have more than I will. Here's his name, student ID number. And because I told it what subject and grade level that I wanted to have, all the standards here are going to be arrayed up against the top. Each content area, so for example, if this was science, physical science would be one color, life science would be another color. If you're going to have multiple class periods, you can switch between the trackers for those class periods here at the very top. Down here at the bottom, these dots simply indicate whether a particular child has mastered or how many students in your class have mastered, almost mastered, or need remediation in a particular standard. But we'll get to that more when we look at Mallory Riggs's data. She's very kindly offered to let me look at the social studies data that she's collected through Mastery Connect. But that's basically all there is to a tracker right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at assessments. Now when you look at assessments, there are quite a few assessments, but those are all subjects, all grade levels, all over the world. We need to narrow it down because I'm looking for an assessment in language arts and in 6th grade. And I can pick a particular standard, or I can just leave it at all. I'm actually going to pick a particular assessment. And I've previously created some assessments. And I'm just going to use the released EOG test. I've already updated or uploaded all the released EOG and NCFE tests that are available on DPI's website. I've uploaded them to Mastery Connect for you to use if you teach one of those subjects. And when you try to add to Tracker, it's going to ask you which trackers you want to upload to. And it's going to, if there's a standard on there that the tracker doesn't recognize, it's going to say, do you want to create this? I would generally just say yes. Now, as soon as you go to, after you've added an assessment, it's going to automatically take you into assessment mode as if you were testing right that minute. Most of you aren't going to be doing that, so you can just click off of that and go back to trackers. So adding the assessment is the first step. Typically, the second step is printing bubble sheets. To print bubble sheets, you would click on trackers, and over here you'll click print bubble sheets. The bubble sheets for Mastery Connect are a little wonky, so I would say include student IDs from selected trackers. Select the trackers that you want to include the student IDs from. I include teacher name because if you're submitting copies to us to copy these for you, and we can also print them out from a flash drive to save your printer ink. Now the practice EOG has 60 questions. Click Generate Bubble Sheets. Say Download. It prints the bubble sheet out. It pre-bubbles their student ID and it prints their name. All that the child would need to do would be write their period number if that helps you keep their class period straight. One of the things about Mastery Connect is that when the student bubbles their ID number in, most Scantrons allow a student to align left over here. Mastery Connect requires them to align right. So that's why we think that printing it with the student ID number pre-bubbled is a much better option. That's what our Mastery Connect users in the building have experienced. So remember, you can print those out on your printer in the hallway, or you can print them, save them to a flash drive and have us print them in the copy room. But that's how you print bubble sheets. When you're ready to do your test, you'll go to the tracker that you added the test to. And now a few new features have shown up since you've added the assessment to that tracker. You'll notice that there's a flag above each standard that's being assessed. And you're going to come over here and find the test that you added. And when you're ready to test, you'll click Assess. And here you are back in testing mode, which allows you to scan those little bubble sheets. When you're ready to scan, you're going to click Enable Camera. I'll do that in just a second. But again, here you can switch back and forth between classes to scan. And you can also switch back and forth between tests that you're ready to scan. I'm going to enable my camera here. Hello. And all you'll do is you'll hold your little bubble sheet up and it will do little yellow squares and little green squares. And then when you're ready and it's done and it's made a scan, it'll go dunk and it will do numbers and score sheets right here. And then all of a sudden numbers will appear, little dots will appear. I don't have a score sheet to show you at this moment. So that is how you do an assessment using Mastery Connect. If you want to upload your own assessment, which we actually have an example of, you can do what's called Add Assessment. So let's say I want to upload, I think I have an 8th grade assessment ready to upload. You can choose the subject, the core standards to use, the class grade, and then you can choose whether it's a single standard or a multi-standard test. You give it a title. You choose the source. You can upload a file from your computer, from Google Drive, from Dropbox. And then you have some privacy options. You can share it with the community, which is the entire world. You can make it private just to you, the individual. You can share it with our school, or you can make it private just to Wake County Public School System. And then there are several types of questions you can have access to. Bubble sheet rubric scoring is interesting, and I'll explain that in a minute, but you can have rubric criteria, open answer, or mixed. I'm going to do mixed to show you what that looks like. Each question that you upload is going to be aligned to a standard. So you're going to have to pick one standard, and I understand that not every question on every test aligns to just one standard, but you'll have to make a decision and determine exactly which standard it aligns with most. So you'll determine, say, it aligns with this standard and what type of question it is. On a mixed type question test, you have four choices of question. So let's say this is multiple choice. Answer B. You can decide how many points this question is worth. You can say true, false, how many points it's worth. Bubble sheet rubric scoring is an interesting option. This allows you to have a short answer, constructed response question, and you could say make it worth 5 points. You could make it worth 8, 6, 4, 2, 0 points, but it doesn't just limit you to multiple choice or true false questions. It allows you to get that constructed response, see what the students are thinking, and that's also for language arts, social studies, and science, how you can assess written response. Or even in math, if you're doing, a child has a multiple choice question, then you ask them to describe what they're thinking. You can use bubble sheet rubric scoring to assess whether their thinking was correct. Now, the way that you would assess that is you would tell the child, you're going to skip question 3, and then you as the teacher would figure out how many points they get, and you would fill in the correct bubble. So if you filled in bubble A, they would get 5 points. If you filled in bubble B, they would get 4 points, and so on. Once you finished uploading it, you would create the assessment. It will upload it. I'll show you what a finished created assessment looks like. This is a check-in that I created using SchoolNet, but this is what it looks like. You have the options to download, print, copy, bookmark as a favorite. Sometimes you can edit. Some assessments are uploaded as PDFs. Obviously, those cannot be edited. Some are uploaded as Word documents, so you can edit. And as the owner of this assessment, I also have the ability to delete it. Now, when you're looking at a particular assessment to decide whether it's something you want to use, you're going to see scoring. So this is how many points total. These are the standards that are being assessed. These are the number of points students would have to get on this standard to be considered masters. This is how many to be near mastery. Anything below that, they would be considered needing remediation. And this is the answer key. So if you decided to change the test, you might want to have this information. You can also post comments on the quality of the assessments. These are the basic features of Mastery Connect. I hope you found this useful. Scoring a whole batch of about 120 tests takes between 10 and 15 minutes. It's very useful to have a student help you do this, especially if you have a peer helper or a responsible or helpful student who's willing to help stand there in front of your camera. There is an iPad app for Mastery Connect that you can use at home to scan. As of now, there is no Android tablet app. And there is no mobile phone app to help you scan. So that is one of the major differences between Mastery Connect and ZipGrade. But we did want to emphasize Mastery Connect as it is free. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help come set you up with this. The big resources in the building that can help you with Mastery Connect are Bethany Kilgore and Mallory Riggs. Also, the 7th grade language arts PLT is now using Mastery Connect, so they do have understanding of how it works. And we're trying to get more people on board with this. And I'll show you in a minute what the reports look like. Thanks.